Throughout the year, there are plenty of things to be celebrated, like Christmas or Easter, or the Queen's birthday if you like. This week, however, it's Refugee Week, and it's celebrating the contribution made by refugees in the UK. Under the slogan, Different Past, Shared Future, the aim is to bring together refugees with the local community in an effort to demystify some of the demons that still surround refugees today. This year's theme is the Simple Acts campaign, highlighting how small, seemingly insignificant gestures in action can make a permanent difference to lives of many refugees. Intrigued by the project, we went to see one of the driving organisations behind the Refugee Week and spoke to Hannah Ward from the Refugee Council to find out some more. We're here with Hannah Ward from the Refugee Council today. Thanks for joining us. Many people will have heard the word refugee used in a variety of different contexts but aren't actually quite sure what it means. Could you tell us a little bit about who a refugee is and how a refugee is different to an asylum seeker?
Well, a refugee is someone who has been forced to flee their own country and seek refuge in another country. Or seek asylum is another way of putting it. So they've left their country and they've asked another country to take them in because it's not safe for them to stay in their own country. Asylum seekers are refugees, but they are called asylum seekers because they've come to the other country and they've put in a claim. So, for example, if they've come to the UK, they've asked for asylum, and then there's a system, a process by which their claim needs to be assessed and decided before they're given refuge in the UK. And so while they're waiting for that decision to be made, they're known as an asylum seeker. Being a refugee is also very different from being an economic migrant or a migrant. It's important to make that distinction as well. Migrants leave their own country out of choice. They go to another country and they do that because they want to work there. And that's very different from being forced to leave your home.
The theme of this year's Refugee Week is the Simple Acts campaign. It's designed to remove some of the barriers between the local community and refugees. How do you think the Simple Acts campaign can help alleviate some of the barriers that refugees face?
It's all about welcoming refugees and showing sort of support for the idea of providing refuge or sanctuary to people fleeing persecution. And so there are 20 small things, anything from smiling, to maybe reading a book about exile or having tea with a refugee, small things that you can do to make people feel welcome and also to educate yourself. So learning 5 facts about refugees, for example. All of these things are very small and they don't take up much time, but they go quite a long way, I think, to making a bit of a difference to how refugees are perceived in the UK, to highlighting the contributions that refugees make, and to fostering greater understanding between refugees and people who are already living in Britain.
This year's Refugee Week comprises a variety of different events. Could you give us some examples of what you do and what the Refugee Council does, and also how young people could get involved in the process?
We do all sorts of things. We do direct service work with people who are newly arrived to the UK, so we help orientate them, help them through the asylum process, refer them to legal advice, that kind of thing. We also support refugee community organisations to do similar things and to help people who are given refugee status settle down, become half communities in Britain. And we also do campaigning and lobbying and policy work, and our campaigning is a really important part of what we do. And so for what young people can do, they can do anything from helping us with our work with refugees, so things like volunteering to help in our advice work or to do activities and things like that with refugees, but they can also get involved in our campaigns. And we've got a campaign running at the moment called Let Them Work, which is all about getting asylum seekers permission to work so they don't have to live for indefinite periods on handouts from the state. We know that they want to work. We think this is a really positive campaign with a positive message, and we would love more young people to get involved and help us campaign and lobby their MPs and do various things like that.
Following the European elections, the BNP won 2 seats in Brussels. What do you think are the main challenges facing refugees in the UK today, and how will the election of 2 BNP MEPs affect refugees in this country?
I think the main challenges facing refugees is basically misinformation, the public not knowing the facts about refugees and being under the impression that they are here not because they're fleeing persecution and war zones and conflict, but for other reasons. They think that they're coming to take jobs, whereas in fact asylum seekers are unable to work, all of these sorts of things. So I think that there's massive misinformation around asylum seekers and refugees, and obviously one of the things that Refugee Week does is try and counter that and bring some of the true facts into the open and celebrate the positive contributions refugees make. What we need to remember, I think, is that most of the British public do want to offer sanctuary to people fleeing persecution. They would hate the thought of anyone being sent back, sent out of this country, being told, no, you're not allowed in, we're going to send you back to be tortured. Nobody wants that. And so what we need to do is harness that feeling and make that, show that to ministers and to government and say, look, this is really, really important. Everybody thinks that providing refugee in the UK is important. And I think as long as we keep doing that and as long as we keep trying to get the facts out there and we work together to just get people better informed, I think that's the way forward.
Don't worry if you've missed all the action so far. The Refugee Week is still running until the 21st of June. If you would like to know more about the work of the Refugee Council or what's happening during the Refugee Week, click on the website links below. In the meantime, feel free to log on to catch21.co.uk to give us your views and thoughts of what might help refugees in this country.